Friends, we have major missile attacks across Eastern Europe, and these are new. These are big. And we're seeing that all of these things are connected. World War III is on the march across Europe, across Asia. We need to talk about this. So these major missile attacks we're going to be talking about are using more advanced weaponry, and they now seem to be intentionally targeting civilians in densely urbanized population centers. I know there's been allegations of that kind of stuff happening, but we're seeing some significant events where this is seemingly purposeful. And anyone who doesn't believe that we're in World War III, I don't know what to tell you, but all these things are interconnected. The Houthis that are blocking energy and oil and gas going through the Red Sea to southern Europe is connected to the January 1st shutoff of natural gas flows through Ukraine into Europe. The attack on Europe is an energy attack. This is infrastructure. This is a logistical thing that we need to talk about. And it will impact you whether you're in the United States, the UK, in Europe proper, or all the way around the world in Australia. We're going to see prices changing dramatically. It's a big deal. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And I look at numbers. I look at trends, and I try to keep you ahead of the curve. Mainstream media will tell you what happened yesterday. I try to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you about trends, and I can point you in the direction of what happens next. And sometimes when you got like a freight train moving in a direction, it's pretty easy to see where it's going to end up, but it's amazing how many people refuse to see it. If you are getting prepared out there, you probably already seen a lot of this stuff, right? You know that our systems are inherently vulnerable. Our power system is vulnerable. I mean, have we ever thought about actually hardening our grid against EMP attack? Oh, we thought about it, and the Energy Department looked over at the Defense Department and said, that's the Defense Department's job here in the United States. And the United States Defense Department looked over at the Energy Department and said, that's their job. So you know what happened? In classic, only two things could possibly happen, is that they form a whole new agency to do that, which they didn't do, or two, it just doesn't happen. And that's what happened in the United States. We just didn't harden our power grid against EMP attacks or against strong solar flares. So if you're not feeling vulnerable, it's probably because you're just not educated. All right, let's educate all of ourselves about what's happening over in Eastern Europe right now. So just yesterday, Ukraine fired 6 ATACMS into Russia. And you probably heard about the biological, chemical, and radiation general in Moscow getting assassinated. Well, today, Russia retaliated. Early today, Russia retaliated against Kiev. Now, they haven't really targeted Kiev with missile strikes much. And when they did, they kept them out of the civilian population centers. This time, they went after the intelligence, Ukrainian Security Service command post. Now, these are the guys that are allegedly behind the assassination of the Russian general. So they went after the headquarters of the CIA kind of thing. But in this case, it's the Ukrainian Security Services. And also went after a design bureau that designs anti-aircraft and missile systems. So these seem to be legitimate military targets, but apparently at least one of the missiles missed. And one of the reasons why they didn't go after these before, hopefully, I don't know, depending on how cynical you are, was because it's in the more built-up population center area. They're basically using the capital's population as human shields. And in this case, Russia just said, we don't care. These are legitimate military targets. We're going to hit them. And so they went after them. And one of the missiles apparently went off, or if you're more cynical, intentionally hit a building that had a bunch of embassies in it. the Albanian embassy, the Argentinian embassy, the North Macedonian embassy, which is such an easier thing to say than FIROM. Are you familiar with that? Back when I went to it, visited the country, other countries required it to be called FIROM, or the former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia. It's because Greece was like, you can't call yourselves Macedonia. And they're like, but we're Macedonia. And they're like, no. Macedonia is the state, the northernmost state of Greece. You can't call yourselves Macedonia as a country. It's confusing. And they made a big stink about this to the European Union, and it took a decade or more for them to squabble back and forth about it before they finally agreed to call themselves North Macedonia. Anyway, Albania, Argentina, North Macedonia, Yugoslavian Republic, that's what it used to be, Palestine, which is not a country, but apparently they have an embassy anyway, Portugal, and Montenegro. So all these countries' embassy were damaged because they were in that building. No word on any casualties from any of the embassies itself, but one person was injured in this attack on these buildings and such, including the Ukrainian Security Services command post. So this was a combination of Kinzhal ballistic missiles and Iskander systems. That happened early this morning. And then Ukraine, upset, apparently, launched 6... actually, I don't think we actually have a number of missiles here. But Ukraine launched a series of strikes into Russia. Now, the issue here is that they use ATACMS again. But this time they didn't use them against military targets. This is from the Russian side. Is it true? I don't know. It's the only side we've heard so far. Ukraine hasn't come out and said, actually, we were targeting these things. But the whole point of the ATACMS missiles, U.S.-made ATACMS missiles, and the Storm Shadow British missiles, is that they're super hyper accurate. So, what do they hit? 2 colleges, which I don't think that's really a legitimate military target, generally speaking. Now, maybe they're being used for something else. I don't know. 2 colleges, a cultural center, a gym, and a children's school. Now, with the embassy being hit so close to legitimate military targets, I'm semi-inclined to at least accept the plausible deniability that it wasn't their legitimate target. Here, with the ATACMS, the fact that we have a list of civilian targets that got hit, did they just miss all of their targets? Or more likely, were they ticked off of what happened in Kiev? They got humiliated, and so they decided to just attack civilian targets in Russia with precision missiles, using indiscriminate fire that hits civilian targets is really not good. And we condemn that, regardless of which side does it. But when you use precision munitions to attack civilian targets, something has changed. Something big has changed. And like I said, this is all connected. And this is all connected to what's going to happen. The countdown is happening. January 1st, there will be no natural gas flowing through the pipelines across Ukraine from Russia. Ukraine has said that they won't allow it, and Russia has said that they're going to cut it off. So it's kind of who originally kind of did this. It's kind of like you can't stop transporting our gas because we're going to shut it off. Kind of both sides saying that they're the ones shutting it off. Anyway, this is going to impact Europe significantly. The natural gas pipeline feeds into countries like Slovakia. Slovakia, a quite landlocked country, is freaking out. The Prime Minister, Robert Fico of Slovakia, has warned of financial turmoil in his country as he pleaded with Ukraine and Russia to allow the gas flows to continue. He's very concerned. He's putting measures before the European Union, and they're trying to get the natural gas to continue to flow because they're concerned they're going to run out of natural gas. Now, natural gas going into the fall, we're at record high levels. They basically had the European gas tanks full. Now they have these caverns that they just pump natural gas into, which is crazy sounding, but that's what they do. They have these caverns and they pump the natural gas in there and then they kind of release it like a battery. It's cheaper than having tanks above ground. I'm not sure how you have caves that you can pump them into, but I never thought those things would be airtight, but apparently it works somehow. They have these massive natural gas caverns that store this natural gas, a lot of it. But the serious problem is that you cannot resupply Europe with just tankers coming across the ocean. I talked about this in a previous video. You need to have like 6,000 tankers on the ocean going back and forth between the United States and Europe just to make that work. And there aren't 6,000 natural gas tankers. There's like 600. And I was already counting those. So you need 6,000 new tankers starting tomorrow, well, starting January 1st, to kind of pick up the slack for the natural gas that's coming across Ukraine. Is that, are we building 6,000 new natural gas tankers? The answer is no. No, we're not. So we're going to be seeing those natural gas stockpiles, inventories in Europe start plunging, and quite fast. Now, it looks like they won't run out this winter. But if they have a very bad winter, we could have a catastrophic early spring in Europe. It's possible early spring, mid-spring. If the winter is bad enough, they could theoretically run out of natural gas. If not, then it's going to be a race for them to restockpile over the summer to a level that won't destroy them next winter. And that's where we're really going to see next winter, unless something changes, they're going to be in a world of hurt. I don't know what their plan is. I'm an accountant. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm saying it doesn't work. And then you have additional problems with the Houthis shooting at anything that tries to go through the Red Sea towards the Suez Canal. Natural gas and oil goes that way, or used to go that way, to get up to Europe, and now it has to go the long way around the southern Horn of Africa, which takes a lot longer, which means you need more ships to carry the same amount of cargo, because one ship going back and forth twice takes about the same time as going back and forth once now. That means you need twice as many ships. I'm making up those numbers right there, but gives you an idea. We need more ships because they got to go a longer way. And to certain areas in southern Europe, it is kind of close to double the length. So if you're going from Saudi Arabia up to like places like Turkey, yeah, that's what you're kind of looking at. So natural gas inventories started at record levels, but they're plunging at record levels already. They're dropping faster than ever before. And that's before the flows get turned off. Once the flows get turned off, we're going to be seeing some numbers that we haven't seen before. And no matter what happens, they're going to exit this winter with the lowest inventories that we've seen in decades. Hopefully they have enough solar panels to make this work, but we've seen that doesn't really work out. So we're going to be praying for a mild winter this year for Europe, because otherwise they're going to be in a world of hurt. And South Korea's got to get on the ball and start making hundreds and hundreds more natural gas tankers, because there just aren't enough. South Korea is the number one producer of natural gas tanker ships. as long as North Korea doesn't act out. So we got major escalation happening across Europe, especially in Eastern Europe. We have Israel getting ready to attack Iran. We got Syria going into total meltdown mode. They're about to start attacking each other. The rebels are going to start attacking each other Libya style. The United States is concerned because Turkey is massing troops on the northern border of Syria, looking like they're about to invade. They've already made incursions, but they're massing troops as if they're going to do a major campaign into northern Syria, talking about creating a buffer state, which, that's a whole thing. I mean, isn't that what Bear Country is doing in Eastern Europe? I don't know. It's okay when Turkey does it, but it's not okay when Bear Country does it. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about still on these things. We'll keep you updated, and I will be tracking these numbers as we go into the winter. Hopefully things, like I said, Europe's not going to run out of natural gas like in winter, but they could come out of this winter with very low stockpiles. And as they go into the spring, they may struggle to restock the natural gas. They may actually struggle to just keep it even. And that's something that we need to keep an eye on, because energy, logistics. Amateurs talk about what the troops are doing. Professionals in war talk about logistics, energy, shipping. All these things are the most important things out there. World War II was won and lost by air transportation, as well as the battle for the Atlantic to get the convoys over to Europe to resupply England, and then also to mass troops for the Allied invasion of Western Europe. And not to mention this, when the Russians are like, oh, well, we actually won the war single-handedly. Yeah, they did so with American trucks, American aircraft, American tanks. They don't like to talk about that, but basically America gave them all their tanks, gave them all their trucks, gave them all their, basically their weapons. We armed the Red Army as they marched into Europe during World War II. And logistics are so very vital. And if you want to see what happens next, that's what you look at. So that's what we're doing. We'll keep you up to date. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.